Hi, I'm Dan Sweet. I'm Director of Public Relations and Communications for Helicopter Association International, and welcome to our bi-weekly HAI at Work webinar series. We're glad you joined us today. We know that your schedule is always pretty tight, and we appreciate it. HELI-EXPO just finished up. It was a pretty massive show. If you weren't there, you really missed out. We had something like 12,000, almost 13,000 visitors, attendees, exhibitors. The show floor was packed. It was really, really busy. Next year's show is in Anaheim towards the end of February. We hope you can make that one if you didn't make this one. But there's always a ton of things going on during HELI-EXPO. And one of the things that we always try to do is Jim Viola, our president and CEO, kind of gives his view of the state of the industry. And he talks about what HAI is doing, what the industry is doing, problems that we're seeing, and how HAI is working to try to solve these problems. And we just felt like it really made a lot of sense to share his viewpoints, his vision, his thoughts and ideas on what things were going on. And so we'll go ahead and get things started here in just a second. It is a recording, but surprisingly enough, our speaker is the president and CEO of HAI HELI-EXPO and HAI, James Viola. Normally we take questions. Today, because it's a recording and because of Jim's schedule, he was not able to participate. So we will not take questions at the end of this webinar. Strangely enough, we have a recording of Jim's speech and we are still recording the webinar. So if you do know of anybody that would like to see this, or if you want to go back and review anything that you might miss, we will try to get the webinar link up here fairly quickly. And we will be back after Jim's video to give you updates on what's coming up and what HAI is also doing.
Well, thanks everybody for coming by to kick things off here for the little bit of an update on industry. I'm James Viola. I'm the president and CEO of the Helicopter Association International, and I'm very happy that you get to visually see all the good work that my staff does around 365 days a year, but this is one of the shows where it all comes together here at HELI-EXPO every year, and it's just going to be another wonderful event as the doors will open tomorrow for that. So in case you wanted additional information, as we go through the slides here, there's going to be a QR code at the end of the presentation, and you'll be able to just take a click of that and it'll be able to download the presentation. I want to start off with a look at the board of directors for HAI. They come from various backgrounds, and a lot of the things that we do is make sure that segments of the industry are actually represented by board members. And I've been on a couple boards, and the thing about the Helicopter Association International is our board members are actually operators. You have to be an operator. So we have a close relationship with the OEMs, the manufacturers and the suppliers, of course, because you'll see them all over the floor out there. But HAI was stood up as a operator type membership, and the board of directors stays with that. And I did a double. All right, so I'm going to bring an update on HAI's work on behalf of the members, and we're going to cover HAI's efforts to communicate the power and the value of the industry, our work with regulators and legislators to combat the overburdenedness of regulations out there, our ongoing effects to improve the safety of the industry, because we know in order to have a prosperous industry, you got to have a safe industry. We're going to comment on our aid to our members and see what their pressing issues are out there, and then our efforts to bring more people into the vertical aviation industry or workforce development, because we know we need to continue to grow, especially with all the great stuff that's on the horizon. I'll also share some data on insights from industry with you on all those items. Okay, as part of the top to bottom review of our organization, HAI has developed a series of strategic goals that will position the vertical aviation industry for growth. And I've already heard the rumors walking around the halls here that everybody is feeling that growth and that energy. And then with the input from our board of directors and our staff, we create a set of strategic initiatives that will describe how we will achieve those goals for industry. And these initiatives will guide our action over the next few years. Our first initiative is to unify the industry around a new vision of vertical aviation and its continued promotion of community compatibility. We know that we have to be able to fly neighborly. Fly neighborly is part of our one of our working groups that's been around for a long time, and so that community compatibility is absolutely essential as we move forward. And we'll collaborate with our industry to deliver fresh and forward-thinking perspectives that portrays it in a global and solution-focused community. We will emphasize the need to create good relationships with the community that we serve, and then we will deliver this message to the public while we also promote the benefits of vertical aviation and the unique services it provides all across society. Our second initiative seeks to build engagement in our industry to help politicians and regulators better understand the vital role our industry plays in the airspace and in the economy. HAI continuously stands up for vertical aviation before our regulators and legislators. Lots of education goes on and looking for opportunities to provide those education. We work to prevent restrictive legislation, including what we've recently done is filing a lawsuit against the state of Hawaii a few weeks ago to block legislation that would curb our tour flights. We also joined forces with other aviation associations to block similar legislation in New York State and to prevent states like Washington and California from prematurely halting the sale of leaded aviation gas. We also work to promote positive, performance-based regulations. And this slide features some of those issues we are currently working. Our government affairs team is currently working closely with Congress, ensuring the interests of vertical aviation are promoted and protected in this upcoming federal FAA reauthorization bill. I mean, that's what's going on right now in DC as we're down here. A lot of folks are still pretty busy up there because when Congress is in town, we know it and we feel it when you live in the area. And the FAA reauthorization bill is going to be one of those key things this year for our government affairs. We invite those who are interested to visit our website to learn more about how our organization is working on your behalf. And if you see something we're not doing, by all means, let me know. Our third initiative concerns a cause that HAI has been pursuing for most 75 years of our existence, lowering the accident rate in vertical aviation community. It has become one of the toughest things to do. Around the world, we just see too many accidents, and the helicopter accidents seems to always make that front page. So we have to have a safe industry in order to be prosperous. And these accidents are not new accidents, and they're not really based on different parts of the world. They're the same accidents that you see, and I know we had a safety forum kicked off this morning, and you can look at some of the rates from the U.S. helicopter safety team, as well as the vertical aviation safety team, and some of the stats and the good work that's being done there. But over the past few years, we've continued to work to promote safety. And the safety in the vertical global is a global issue, and we're working with ICAO, and ICAO and myself co-lead now what's called the Vertical Aviation Safety Team. The Vertical Aviation Safety Team is what we grew out of the International Helicopter Safety Team. And again, working with ICAO, we now have the global safety plan that we're trying to achieve for the industry. So Chris Hill, our Senior Director of Safety, has been tenacious about developing new safety programs and tools for the industry. Some of our programs are for our members, but we also have teamed up with VAST and the U.S. Helicopter Safety Team and EASA to produce products like the 56 Seconds to Live that are available to everyone. And you'll see some of that down on the floor, so please visit the safety area. By the way, HAI is participating in a second anniversary of that 56 Seconds to Live program on Wednesday at 3 p.m. in the Rotor Safety Zone. So please stop by and check out the Rotor Safety Zone. As we look at 2023 and beyond, one of HAI's core objectives is to elevate global safety culture. And we're going to do that through the value chain. We'll do it by providing leading-edge services that will enhance operational safety, effectiveness, and efficiencies. We are especially aware of the need for resources for smaller operators. 5 aircraft and less is where you see a lot of the accidents, and if you look at the data there. So not every operator wants or needs to participate in all of our programs, so our challenge is to ensure that we are hypersensitive to the needs of our operators. We want to provide industry and our members with the right resources at the right pace without overwhelming them or boring them. That is the challenge that we are happy to accept. Through expansion of relationships and partnering with global industry leaders to provide and service providers, HAI has significantly expanded the portfolio of resources, and we'll highlight just a few. Our SMS software providers include Aircraft Electronics Association, Air Charter Safety Foundation, Baldwin, and Wyvern. And through Wyvern, we've expanded to not only provide SMS, but also SMS coaching and assessment programs. Air Charter Safety Foundation also provides third-party support in the setup and day-to-day management of the Aviation Safety Action Plan, or ASAP. And we just launched our newest member service, the Flight Training and Checking Program, to help our members clear costly backlogs of pilot training and program and certification issues. So that's an ability of one of our members offering a service that provides check rides that you can get through him or you can get from the FAA. And people know right now there are some delays on the FAA side of the house, so hopefully we'll see some members taking advantage of that. And then here's a more comprehensive lineup of the safety resources available through HAI and industry partnerships and engagements. No matter how experienced and mature your operation, chances are we have the tool and the resources available that can help you elevate your safety performance and culture. We hope that you will take advantage of some of these programs on here. Our fourth initiative is to develop business resources that help companies elevate operational performance. HAI's fundamental mission is to help our members and therefore the industry succeed. Here are some of the resources that we are putting into the hands of our members. Health insurance coverage for individuals and businesses through our partners with LIG Solutions. Loss of license insurance for pilots through our partner Lockton Affinity, and a portal providing our members with articles, webinars, and downloadable guides on aviation law. On Thursday, March 9, HAI staff will provide several classes for members who want to improve their performance in social media and crisis communications as well. HAI has more than 12 working groups that bring together industry professionals to address the actual common issues that are happening throughout the industry. Some working groups are sector-based, such as aerial firefighting or tours. Others focus on issues that are important to everyone in aviation, such as safety or training. The HAI Board of Directors oversees the working groups, including commissioning new ones or putting groups in dormancy according to the need of the industry. We are very proud of the work that our HAI member volunteers do on behalf of the vertical aviation community. More important about our working groups include meeting schedules and applications to join are on our webpage. A major pain point for our industry right now is the rising cost of insurance. We have spoken with underwriters and brokers, and regretfully, the situation will likely get worse before it gets better. Our insurance industry insider aspects percentage increase in the lower double digits for next year. There are things that operators can do to find competitive rates, and we have discussed these in the HAI articles and webinars, and you can continue to expect that. But the biggest issue for the underwriters is our industry's accident rate. Insurers spread their losses across the entire pool of the insured, and if you are a member of a high-risk pool, you will pay more. This means that even if you have never had an accident, your insurance costs will reflect the fact that this other operator has had 2 accidents and totaled in 5 years because you are a member of the same risk pool. So one of the paths to lower insurance rates is to lower our accident rate, which again is certainly something that we're trying to help and affect. Look, I own a helicopter and I enjoy flying, whenever I can with my schedule, and I actually have the aircraft here. I got R-44 that I flew down from Gaithersburg, and I do it based on, of course, risk analysis, risk assessment, And I actually flew down here a week early to the show because the weather was so good. 2 weeks ago, that a high system came across the United States. I had a altimeter setting of 3045 at Gaithersburg, Maryland. And when I landed at Charlie Brown, 5.6 hours later, the altimeter setting was 3045. So I saw that coming the whole week, and I was like, okay, how do I reduce my risk? How do I reduce my anxiety? Well, I've got a big show starting on Thursday. Maybe the sooner I get my helicopter there in good weather would make a good move, and that's what I did last week. But we do not fly in a vacuum. We fly with the responsibility of regulators, legislators, safety agencies, insurance providers, and our customers and the public. And they're all telling us in so many ways with insurance rates, with regulatory and legislative mandates, that we must get better at assessing and mitigating the risks that are out there. Just like I've mitigated pressure even just to have to get here for Friday's fly-in. So as individuals and as an industry, we cannot afford to keep having the same accidents. Until our accident rate goes to zero, HAI will continue to expand the safety tools and expand the safety tools that we offer to industry and our members to help. Visit the HAI Rotor Safety Zone to learn more about our safety programs, particularly our increased support of operators who wish to implement safety management systems in their organization. And the HAI Board of Directors has created a HAI working group to address the high cost of aviation insurance. And that group, I did say hello to that group this morning at 8 o'clock, so they're meeting here for the first time in person. And it's, there is no silver bullet. And, we met with them to try to see what we can do as an organization. And one of the things they did was, as we sat at the table, they slid a piece of paper across the desk to us, said, you can't take that with us, but you can take a look at it. And it was just all the payouts that they had in the previous 12 months. And that's what's keeping our insurance rates up there. So one additional element is the Strategic Initiative 4 will come about later this year, and that's establishing a HAI Small Business Advisory Council. We know that the smaller companies in our industry have different needs than the larger companies with more resources. And if they are HAI members, we need to hear from them about challenges and how HAI could help. I mean, essentially, we're looking at it, what can we assist small businesses with where you're not competing? And number one, you've heard me all morning now talk about safety, and that's certainly an area where there's no competition. Everybody has to be safe. So helping our members succeed is the core of HAI's mission, and this council will help us identify and do that. Because success for our members, again, means success for the industry. Our fifth initiative is to develop a pathway that attracts and maintain the best workforce in the world. As an industry, we have realized that we can no longer rely on the people who are fascinated by vertical aviation to fill our cockpits and hangars. There are just not enough of them. So we have to help recruit them. We have to go out there, find that future workforce, and provide them with attractive opportunities. So HAI has created a working group that addresses another significant issue facing our industry, workforce development. Analysts predict that the current shortage of pilots and maintenance technicians could last another decade or more. Unemployment now is at a near record low, and many of our industries are also facing labor challenges. To address this challenge, we need to reach outside of our industry and communicate with some who do not know us very well, especially young people. And here are some things that the general public should know about it. There is significant career potential in vertical aviation. And if you look at all the new vertical vehicles that are coming forward and the opportunity to get involved with creating and helping the success there. College degrees are not necessarily required for either the pilot or the maintainer of those vehicles. Airliners fly routes, and helicopters in these vertical missions, or vertical aircraft fly missions. They don't go from that, JFK to Los Angeles. They get out there and actually interact with the community. So we are the logical industry to introduce advanced air mobility into our skies. So people entering our workforce today will get in on the ground floor of something that's coming and will be around for a long time. The HAI Workforce Development Group will work with companies to change the way we promote ourselves and develop pipeline programs with high schools and colleges. We also need everybody at this show, through vertical aviation, to spread the word about how great a career opportunity is. I mean, and the word that goes along with all that, of course, is mentorship. You know, taking someone and showing them the road that you had, and then figuring out how, you know, what are some of the goals that they want to achieve, and then helping them, give them some sound advice. In addition to the workforce development group, we also are working on other methods to stimulate employment in our industry. For example, on Thursday, we will bring over 100 Atlanta area high school students to the show floor. Also right now, on the top floor of this building, we are holding the latest in our series of Mill to Civ workshops going on. There are a Mill to Civ team of veterans who have made successful transition to the civilian industry, and they'll share their knowledge, their experience, and providing paths for those that are also following them out of the military. We'll also hold our annual career fair tomorrow. It is in the same room where the Mill to Civ transition event is taking place. Just a few years ago, the career fair was a place to distribute a resume with hopes that someone would eventually call. Now these companies are here ready to hire. Finally, we are happy to announce the expansion of our Rotor Pathways program. The initiative, an award-winning program, brings government, educators, and industry together to create funded pipeline where high school students are introduced to our industry and then provided with the aviation education opportunities and internships and job placements with industry partners. The state of North Dakota just joined our launch program, and the state of Utah, and we have been looking to extend the program to even more states. So if you think that you've got some connections that you want to share with my team in your state, please take advantage of that opportunity here as you're walking around the floor. So that is what HAI is doing. So let's take a look at what else has been going on in our industry. Let's get started by looking at the companies that put us in the air, the manufacturers or the OEMs, including AAM companies. Overall, the OEMs seem to be coming out of the pandemic period in good shape. Sales of new and used helicopters were sluggish in the first few months of 2022, but considering now as we come out of a global quarantine, a slow start to that year was not unreasonable. There have been some late signs that the industry has been coming up with a great rebound now. Sales began slowly to increase in North America and Europe later in 2023. The record numbers from the third quarter indicate that total helicopter sales were up just over 6% from the previous year, and it appears that those numbers will continue to grow throughout 2023. I think we're going to have a really good show here, and you know, certainly as I walk around the floor and talk with some of the OEMs and see what their goals are and what, you know, what later in the week if they achieve those goals, and I expect they all will, just the way things are shaping up in the atmosphere here. So I predict as you talk with the companies on the show floor that you will find a lot of cause for optimism as things are rolling forward. All right, very quickly, I'd like to recap some of the work HAI did on behalf of the industry this year. Some of our advocacy highlights included working with other aviation stakeholders. We pursued solutions on the 5G interface, interference that has been going on. You know, 99% of air ambulance operators were able to resume Part 135 operations under a HAI exemption that the staff did. We responded to a number of state and municipality attempts to restrict flight operations. We're trying to make sure that we don't lose ability to do what vertical aircraft can do. It included measures in New York State and Hawaii. We also led a campaign to help industry submit air tour management plan comments to the National Park Service. And the NPOG will actually be meeting, I think, on Wednesday and Thursday here. HAI promoted the inclusion of the Advanced Aviation Infrastructure Modernization Act by Congress and 6 other aviation programs in the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2023. On sustainable aviation fuels, SAF, HAI partnered with FAA and other general aviation associations on the EAGLE program to reduce the use of leaded fuel by 2030. We are also urged for key tax credits that will apply to some SAF sales and use in the calendar year 2023 and 2024. So it was a busy year for HAI's education program also. We issued over 700 wings, AMT, and IA renewal credits. And then if you walk around here, you see all the classes that are going on, some of the accreditation that's happening in all sectors of the vertical aviation. HAI Expo 2022 was great. We're more than, again, we had 38 attendees of the professional education courses, the Rotor Safety Challenge sessions, and manufacturer technical briefings. Again, same stuff happening again this year. And then the VAST Global Conference, which we held in Texas, had 220 attendees from 14 countries, and we're looking for opportunities there with the VAST of, where the future locations are going to be. We're going to South America, other opportunities. So if there's a large vertical aviation event that you think a VAST conference would work with, please, again, reach out to me and drop me a note. 411 people from 5 countries attended the expanded HAI Aerial Work Safety Conference, which was held in Boise, and we'll be back there again in December of this year. And then European Rotors, the VTOL Show and Safety Conference had over 4,000 attendees, over 200 exhibitors, and from 57 countries. So it's good to have the EHA chairman in the back of the room, and we'll be looking forward to Madrid this year for another great show over in Europe. So if you haven't heard of European Rotors, that's another opportunity of, and it's a good space from HAI HELI-EXPO to keep industry moving. All right, so before I take your questions, I want to mention that the HAI Board of Directors has initiated a rebranding for the association. Some of you may have got they're doing some surveys. We've been talking about it for a while. When I took over 3 years ago, it was certainly one of the things we knew we had to do because we want to show the inclusion. These aircraft are of the future. People say urban air mobility, and I say, well, I think the first time we had a helicopter land at the White House, that was kind of urban air mobility. So we don't want to use that word. Advanced air mobility, with the different power plants and stuff that's coming. So how do we make sure that we, aren't keeping people away because we're using the word helicopter? So that's kind of the essence of it. And so, out of respect for our 75 years of service to the vertical aviation history and the generation of aviators who built this industry, the board is approaching this process very meticulously, and we need to ensure that our future brand is very inclusive, but also looks up to our industry's future while honoring the great past of the vertical industry. So our rebranding efforts will be based on research and a collaborative process, and I look forward to sharing more news about this as we roll forward and get some more objectives and goals from our board. So there's how you can, right now you can just take a snapshot on that, and it's kind of like magic. You'll be able to have the whole slide deck, and it's I like when I can show up now to when I visit members and I can give them the little Q code there, and you don't have to connect computers, you don't have to share any type of, maybe it's something from the pandemic where you don't have to pull something out of one computer and stick it in the other. You just take a picture and boom, you got it. So technology is coming. All right, what are your questions for me? And we do.
If you have a question, please raise your hand. PJ has a microphone over here. He'll bring it to you.
Thank you. Charles Alcock with Aviation International News. You mentioned there the FAA reauthorization bill.
Yes.
And the work being done on that. You also mentioned, delays associated with FAA. How much of a concern is it that the reauthorization, might not end up with the agency having sufficient resources to get done what needs to be done?
Well, I don't think from all the coordination and that we're doing and talking with the leadership that there would be a lack of resources for the FAA. I don't think that's going to be the issue. How they specify those resources and priorities has been what everyone has been talking about. How do you just set the priorities? I think the resources will be there. And then, we're looking in our community, we're looking for, some specific ones. Of course, you've seen a couple actions already by Congress with some money for the advanced air mobility type stuff. And some of the congressmen and senators want to get some of the services that these great future technologies can bring to not to the major cities, but now how do you get to the rural communities? I mean, that's some of the words that I've heard. And then that's when vertical aviation is such a key factor, because you don't need all that infrastructure and those long runways to help the community. So I think the resources will be there, whether it passes on time and what extensions happen. The key thing we're looking for is more solid decisions on leadership with the FAA.
Good. And just quickly, when we gather again in Anaheim 12 months or so from now, are you expecting to have a new name? Is this going to be, you know, the something HELI-EXPO show?
Well, I know we you know, all the work and the background that you know HAI has and we've been changing is going to continue in that direction. What the name is, I'm not sure. I mean, they may decide to, as part of history, to keep the name and have a tagline. I mean, there's the company we're working with has been working with the board, and you know, yeah, you know, we do know that you know, vertical aviation, we want to be all encompassed. We want to make sure that we open the doors, but I'm not sure if getting rid of the word helicopter does that, or just all the good work we're doing right now is sufficient.
You mentioned Hawaii, Ken Swartz, Vertical Flight Society. You mentioned Hawaii and New York State. With those bills or the actions that HAI was involved with, was there any deliverable that the industry had to provide as a result of government going a different direction than they were intent before? I believe these were restrictions on either New York City or on flight seeing with those two things. But was there any expectation that the industry would respond in a certain sort of corrective or a different path?
So, no, good question. So the question is, I think you're almost saying, did we change course on anything?
No, I'm asking whether,
Okay.
Was it simply federal aviation is federal with these states, or was there something that the industry, in speaking to the states, said we are going to do something
Right.
as an industry? In other words, was there a promise or an expectation of a change?
All right, so Hawaii, you know, Hawaii was a lot of stuff that was going to be overburdensome on the operators, and it was going to, you know, really be costly. So that was the Hawaii issue. We just thought they were, you know, going beyond what they needed to do to industry, and it wasn't going to add safety. So that was the issue there. We are still working on some of the altitudes and stuff in Hawaii. We want to make sure, again, we get the community compatibility. As the industry grows, and we know that helicopters make sounds. When you hear that sound, it's either saving somebody's life if it's landing at the Children's Hospital, or it may be providing transportation. But we are trying to make sure that that sound, as we get, you know, less sound with the newer vehicles, that we have the community compatibility. So little things are changing to make sure that the communities are happy. In New York, it was I don't know how to describe. But I mean, to ban all helicopter flights over New York City was a little bit outrageous. And if you've been in the streets of New York City, I don't think it was because of the sound the helicopter was making. I'm not sure you'd hear one. But yeah, it was just overreach by the states doing overburdensome regulations that would actually, what happened in the New York case, they realized that they'd be on the blame line as well as industry for what they were suggesting.
Hello, Jeff Winters, Pratt & Whitney. Two questions have been in our air medical segment. Have our friends in the air medical business reached out and asked for help regarding the No Surprise Act? And if they have, what can HAI do to help them with that? And number two, do you support the Air Medical Transport Conference and/or at the Association of Critical Care Transport? I know there's competition between those two associations, and how do you see that going in the future?
Okay, so the first question, as far as the billing side of this house, you know, HAI as an association don't get into the billing side. You know, so we have, we really haven't done anything on that side on the No Surprise Act. And as far as trying to help the other associations, I think HAI, and we try to be an association of associations. So we are working with both of those to figure out what resources can we as HAI help bring them together. So again, you know, trying to be more efficient. I think a lot of people learned during the pandemic that you don't have to have all these splinter groups. And if we can bring people together like we have here at HELI-EXPO every year, you know, what are the additional classes that we can have that meet the needs of the certification for both of those organizations, and that they don't have to have that competitive edge there. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay. Any other questions? Well, thank you very much. We've got some beautiful aircraft out there. We got a humongous floor. Hopefully you took good, comfortable shoes for the rest of the week, and we'll see you walking around the floor. Thanks.
Okay, well, I hope that gave you a little bit of an insight onto what Jim had on his mind and what was going on during HELI-EXPO. As I promised, we are trying to push all the right buttons again to share the slide deck with you, because we had tried to get that included behind Jim, and it just didn't seem to work out. We'll get that for you here in just a second. There we go. That should give you the QR code and both the link. And so I'm going to leave this up here for just a couple of minutes, give you plenty of time to pull out your phone, take a picture of the QR code, or to write down the link. Use your print screen function on your computer, whatever else might work to capture that information. Now, I will say that in addition to Jim's slides, if you go into the view notes section of PowerPoint, you will be able to see the script that he was using. So you'll actually be able to see what he was thinking, talking about during the presentation. And we're going to try to get the slide deck added to the recording of this webinar as well. So I'll leave this up for another 10 to 15 seconds and give you time to get a copy of it. Okay, let's go ahead and get on to the normal housekeeping duties for the webinars. It's springtime and our schedule is changing. That's one of the things that's fun about our industry. Schedules change. We had everything fairly committed, fairly firm, and after Expo, things started to shift a bit. What I can tell you, topics we have coming up are, we'll have a discussion about our new HAI SMS assessment program. We have really embraced the SMS side of safety. We knew that our members wanted scalable SMS programs, and so we started doing that a little over a year ago. And now we continue to add new elements to the SMS program. So we have projects for flight operations SMS. We have SMS for maintenance. We have SMS training programs available. And so there's a whole bunch of different things that are coming up. And so we'll be wanting to give you a comprehensive look at our SMS program. Other topics include community acceptance of VTOL operations, how to approach the issue. Safety culture assessment in aviation maintenance, mixing fixed and rotary wing aircraft in traffic patterns. That'll be an interesting dynamic as it comes out. And we have a couple of other high-level topics on hydrogen-powered aircraft and interviews with other CEOs of other OEM organizations. And so those we'll try to get those publicized as quickly as possible and get that information out to everybody. HAI is about sharing news, very much like our webinars. We like to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. A couple of great ways we do that is with Rotor Magazine. It's an award-winning quarterly publication. It's free to people in the US, and people who live outside the US do have to pay just a small fee for mailing costs. Rotor Daily is our daily news aggregator. Comes out every business day except holidays, and it covers 10 to 15 to 20 of the top stories that are part of the rotorcraft or vertical aviation industry each day. And so we've searched all these out, put them in one spot so you don't have to. We send that directly to your email box. You can subscribe to both projects, both programs at rotor.org/subscribe. Encourage you to do that. Feel free to share that with other people as well. We will have a follow-up questionnaire coming out shortly. We do appreciate any input you can give us on this webinar or future webinars or on HAI in general. If there is something for HAI, we do encourage you to send Jim an email. He talked to a lot of people at HELI-EXPO. He likes to talk to people personally. But if you don't have a chance to see him, send him an email at president@rotor.org. Those go directly to his phone, to his computer. He does see everything. He does share those with our staff for tasking. That does wrap up our webinar today. We are appreciative that you took the time to watch Jim's speech, and we look forward to seeing you again very, very soon. Until then, we ask that you fly safe and you be safe.